Let's talk about 5 cards from Lost Origins Trainer Gallery that I think are significantly underrated. If you're not living under a rock, you know that Pokemon is all the craze right now, and a lot of that started because of Pokemon TCG Pocket coming out at the end of last year, and people realizing that illustration rares are just absolutely beautiful cards in the Pokemon TCG. As a result, a bunch of illustration rares went up in value, and some are pretty high still, including cards like Groudon and Tyranitar that are just through the roof, and that's just scratching the surface. So I was looking around trying to find some maybe less expensive cards that would sort of fit that bill, and I realized that there are a lot of super cheap cards in the Lost Origin Trainer Gallery. First of all, I'm looking at the Charizard here. This Charizard is only about $10 at the time I'm making this video, and not only does it feature Charizard in a cool kind of like adorable pose with Leon, who's also a popular character, but I just feel like it's kind of crazy that this card is that cheap, considering that A, it's a Charizard, and B, it just has some really unique art. How about this Banette? This card is absolutely awesome, and it's like $2, which for me is basically an auto grab. I will be picking this card up. It's got some really detailed art, and while it does have the yellow border and doesn't look as good in my opinion as some of the illustration rares, I think it's a pretty brain-dead card to pick up for $2. This Parasect is awesome as well at around $1.50. I think this is probably my favorite of the 5 here. I know Parasect isn't the most popular Pokemon by any stretch of the imagination, but this artwork is really well done and just kind of captures that feel of what a lot of the illustration rares look like nowadays. How about the Snorlax? The Snorlax is a little bit more expensive than some of the others at around $6 to $7, but still, for a really popular Pokemon with some adorable artwork, I feel like at $6 to $7, this is not only going to age really well going forward, but it's just a nice pickup to have for your collection. And finally, one of my favorite Pokemon, Chandelure. This is like a $2 card, and it is absolutely, in my opinion, significantly undervalued comparative to, some of the other illustration rares that we see on the market. Well, I know that the cards from Sword and Shield aren't necessarily the same as the illustration rares. None of these cards, like if you were to buy all 5, it would cost you about $20, which is the cost of like maybe 2, somewhat higher end illustration rares, which is just kind of crazy to think about. So if you're more of a collector and just really like these types of things, these might be right up your alley. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think are some undervalued cards that are like, alternatives to illustration rares? And do you want to see more videos like this? If you do, be sure to like and subscribe, or follow if you're watching on TikTok, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.